Hey, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. First of all, I would like to thank all the people and everybody who liked, watched, and even dropped a comment under my last video. I was not expecting it to be that successful. Thank you to all of you guys for that. If you guys didn't see the video I'm talking about, the video was essentially just a few clips that I shot with the X100V. What I want to do into this video is go through the different clips with you, go through the timeline, show you guys how I edited the footage and also how I stabilized it. I think this was one of the main questions on both Facebook and YouTube. How did you stabilize the footage? Did you use a gimbal and whatnot? I did not use a gimbal. I'm trying to keep this as minimum, the setup as minimal as possible. But I'll show you and explain how I shot everything. And hopefully you guys will be able to recreate that in your personal work. And after that, I wanna just go through my list of pros and cons with this camera when it comes to shooting videos with it. This is not a video camera at all. This is a beautiful kind of like niche photo camera first, and it has some video features that are decent to good, but you really need to think about what you're shooting. And this is not an overall like a 4x4 video camera where that you can take everywhere you go and like be sure that you have excellent footage out of it. You really have to like pre-plan sort of and like think about the shots a lot more because you can't do everything with it. All right guys, we're in the computer now. I'm on my MacBook because my PC crashed on me like 5 times. Let's go through the timeline and I'm gonna show you how I edited this video, all the clips, all the effects I applied, and all the layers I used. And hopefully you'll be able to replicate that in your own work. So first of all, if this adjustment layer right here, which has a Gaussian blur effect applied to it. The reason for that is that I felt like the clips were a little too sharp to my taste. And I really wish I had a diffusion filter on my X100V. I would highly recommend getting like a 5% or 1/8 if you want to get this more organic filmic look. Otherwise, maybe you like the sharpness and you're good to go without any filters. FYI, I had a UV filter on that day. So this is the only effect. I have a blurriness at 2. Then here I have a little bit of 35mm grain, and that's it. Let's delete all of these and focus on the clips. So now, if you look at on the right hand side here, the effects panel, I have warp stabilizer applied to it at 50%, which is super high. I never use warp stabilizer at a percentage more than like maybe 5. So usually between 1 and 5%. When I use it, I tend to like stay away from it because I think it introduces a lot of bad stuff, wobbling, warping, and whatnot. Anyways. Here, if you look at the clip with the stabilizer and without, you can see the difference. This is the biggest downside of the X100V. It's really hard to shoot handheld and get a smooth shot. And on this one, I also have a little bit of lumetri applied to it. You can see the difference if I toggle this on and off. It was a little too cool to my taste, so I warmed it up a little bit and I play with the settings, really the basic stuff. I didn't use any of the curves or HSL tab, just basic color correction. Then here, this clip, essentially the same thing, warp stabilizer 50%. I'm just gonna show you how it looks without. I think it speaks a ton. See, I mean, this could work, but I really wanted a smoother, smoother shot. And then here, third clip, this one I decreased the highlight a little bit because I wanted to get the blue sky on the top left corner to pop out a little bit more, so I decreased the highlight, and I also applied warp stabilizer to this. This is a pretty cool shot. I really like it, but then again, to talk about how hard it is to shoot handheld with it. This is a static shot. I was sitting in the grass. My elbows were on my knees, and I tried to hold still to shoot this. Look at the final shot. Okay, looks pretty steady. But without the warp stabilizer, look how it looks. See how shaky it is? I mean, if you like it, good for you. I just want to be a little more stable. But this speaks a ton, because if you can't do static shot, if you hold your breath and like just try to hold it as still as possible and it looks like this, it means that the camera is not good for handheld. This one though doesn't have any warp stabilizer applied to it, just some slight lumetri changes, warmed it up, and that's about it. If you look before and after the lumetri, see, I could have changed that in camera obviously, but I shot everything at 5600 and I was like, I'm gonna change it in post, which is not always the best thing to do. If you look at the camera movement though, what's interesting in this one is that I like the shakiness of it, because there are no micro jitters. It's like actually proper shaking. And you can see there is like sort of like a push in. And I think this is when the camera, when the X100V works the best. It's when you have the right amount of movement, but you're not trying to hold still. Basically, trying to get like a smooth static shot is almost impossible unless you use a tripod. So handheld, you can't really do it. And when you try to do like bigger tracking shots, like you follow someone or you do like you want to replicate like a slider shot, for instance, it's really hard to do handheld. Push or pull, these are the movement I think work the best. To illustrate what I'm saying, there's another clip in here where there's a flower, I think. Same type of movement. And you can see there's no warp stabilizer, same type of movement. But since there is like a good amount of forward movement, and that you do it in like a smooth motion, you don't try to hold the shot for too long, then you can basically go with your whole body and you don't have to like muscle the camera to stay still. So I think these are the shots that work the best with the X100V. If you're trying to shoot handheld, try to have a little bit of like forward motion and just like lean into it, you know. But the problem with when leaning into a shot is that you can't really do it for like a longer take, because you can't fall forever forward, I guess. So here, another shot. This is super warped. I mean, you don't see the warping, but you can see the movement. And if I take this, toggle this off, you can see how shaky it is. It looks pretty terrible. That's why I'm saying like this is terrible. Like, it doesn't look good for a video camera. Like, if a cinema camera was that hard to operate smoothly, then they would go bankrupt for sure. Keep in mind that this is a photo camera first and has some like actually decent video features. You just have to like work around this stuff. Tracking motion. This is what I'm talking about here. This is really hard to do. You can see here the smoothness is 1%, because if you go to 50, it's so warpy on the corner. I didn't really like it, so I just went 1%. Just for the sake of it. And if you toggle this off, it's basically, look how shaky that thing is. That's unusable. Thank God for warp stabilizer. It just smoothened a little bit the footage. Same thing here, heavy warp stabilizers. Then again, see, this is like a small short traveling. You can't really go further than this, because you really need to keep everything really tight together. Your elbows tucked in, and just like move your whole body. If you move just your arms, the footage is going to be terrible. So, pro tip: tuck your elbows in, hold your breath, ninja walk, and pray. That's it. This is warp stabilized. This is warp stabilized. I think this is like, there's no color correction whatsoever on this. So this is basically straight out of camera, Eterna film simulation, and it looks pretty cool. The skin tone is really nice. I really like it. We shot this, I think it was like a little overcast or something. Warp stabilized is turned off on this one because the motion is a little too big. Little bit of a warm up, but that's it. Same thing for this, heavy warp stabilizer. I mean, the effects I applied are essentially the same on every clip. Like warp stabilizer at 50% and like warm up a little bit. Because I found that the X100V has like it's pretty cool at 5600. It's, I think, a little too cool to my taste. And yeah, I think my favorite shot out of all of these is this one. It looks so beautiful. I like the composition. I like the foreground elements. I like the framing with the curtains and everything. But if you take out the warp stabilizer, it looks completely different. It looks worse than phone footage, for sure. Just the stabilization. And then here you have this. Yeah. So basically that's it. That's all I did. So to sum up, like how I edited the clips, I basically just applied warp stabilizer on like most of them and just warmed up and like played a little bit with the basic color correction settings, and that's about it. I'm really pleased with the image that comes out of it with the Eterna color profile or like film simulation, whatever you call it. This, I don't know, I like the skin tone on this one. I just really like it. And I don't know, it's something kind of different than how I would normally grade, but I don't know, it looks nice. It's a little desaturated, but I don't know, it looks good. It just looks good. I hope I answered most of you guys' questions when it comes to how I shot the dad cam video and how I edited the footage, but if I forgot to mention something, or if you have any like questions I didn't cover, make sure to drop a comment down below and I'll make sure to answer to all of you guys. Now I want to go through my list of pros and cons shooting this camera when it comes to video. First one, right out of the bat, built-in ND. This is insane, this is crazy, I love it. This is the best feature of this camera for both photo and video. Built-in ND, if you want to still, you know, respect the 180-degree rule, which means that your shutter speed should be double your frame rate, then it's much easier to do that with the built-in ND if you don't want to, like, you know, go to f16 all the time, especially in bright situations. So built-in ND is crazy cool. You can shoot 4K 25p DCI, which is more than enough for dad camming, and it's actually a little overkill. 17:9 is really cinematic. Just so you know, it's like the same aspect ratio of the Komodo I'm shooting on right now, so pretty neat to have that. The lens is amazing. It's a tad too sharp to my taste. I really like it when it's wide open. It has a little bit more softness, even though it's fairly sharp. But if you were to use this for video and you want a more, I don't know, organic, less digital look, I would highly suggest you get like a diffusion filter. I have one around here. I don't know where they are, but I have a couple. 10% is a little too much, 20% is way too much unless you want to do like something really dreamy. But I would highly suggest to get either like a 5% Cinebloom or a 1/8 Pro Mist. Last but not least, on the Pro list, built-in film simulations. I'm raving about it. I love it for photo. I love it even more for video. Eterna is a really nice, kind of like, you know, rich and organic looking film simulation, and it comes in stock in this camera. Now let's go through the not so good things about this camera when shooting video. The first one, obviously, and I think this is why so many people asked how I shot handheld. It's really hard to get stable, not too shaky footage with it. The form factor is pretty terrible for video, but again, this is not a video camera. But I found it really hard to do any motion or tracking shots, almost impossible, to be honest. As I said, I was using the strap. This is a rope, it's kind of elastic, and I would just like pull as hard as possible on it and try to keep my elbows tucked in and try to be ninja walking most of the time. But it was really hard. So for like slow static stuff, it's fairly easy. You just hold your breath, ninja walk, pull on the strap. For like everything like walking or, you know, tracking stuff, it's really hard. And this is a huge like con to me, because you're not gonna be able to shoot everything with it. You can shoot like static stuff, or like, you know, fairly static stuff, but as soon as you have to move, or, you know, if you want to ski down, you go down the slopes and you're skiing and you want to film something, then it's going to be really hard to just stabilize. The second issue that I have is the recording limit. 10 minutes, I think it's good enough for like most run and gun stuff if you want to just like, you know, capture like a few clips here and there. But as soon as you want to record like long form stuff, like let's say your kid's soccer game or, you know, like a, I don't know, a recital or something, then it's not going to be good enough. Next on that list is the focus. It's almost impossible to rack focus properly with this. It's just really hard and it's not consistent at all. So what I would do, I would just basically just go in a single shot, not continuous because it tends to hunt a lot, but single, and then I would lock focus before I press record, and then I would record and keep the focus playing, you know, wherever it is. I wish it had hard stops, like on vintage lenses or like cine lenses. I'm not a huge fan of focus by wire in lenses for video. Last but not least, the files. If you were to start grading this and shooting f-log and grading, you can't really push the colors as much as you would on like a proper cinema camera. But I mean, don't even know if it should be on that list because as I said, like probably like 1,000 times in this video already, this is a photo camera first. So this was my review of the X100V for video. Fun little camera. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like that video. I'll make sure to post more stuff about the X100V or shot with the X100V. Not necessarily video, but I want to keep on growing the POV street photography series that I had going on this channel. I just haven't had the time to actually go out and shoot. When I do these street photography videos, I kind of like want to go to like cool places and whatnot. I hope I can keep on doing that down the line. And yeah, that's it. I think I'm good, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.